Today I am going to build a linked dipole for 40, 30, 20, 17, 15, 12, and 10 meters, and I'm going to use the REZ Antennas Scout. Coming up this time on Ham Radio Tube. So let me show you what's doing here. We've got the REZ Antenna Scout that you probably can't see because it's backlit there. But on that, so I'm using, this is 26 gauge soda beams wire. I will leave links for everything that I'm using in the description, okay? So 26 gauge soda beams wire, REZ Antennas Scout. I've already put, this is a 3/8 like ring terminal. Go to Ace Hardware and get those. I'm not gonna link those in the description. And then I have a little S-beaner here with a ferrule that I've clipped to the Scout. And then we have some, this is Messi & Poloni Potaflex 6 coax that we're using, and I'm using my Gigaparts Explorer Pota 33H. Now I've already done some of this work at home, so let me explain. I've already measured all of the lengths, sort of, for the links. So starting here, we have the connections to the REZ Scout, and then we can go down. This first section is the 10 meter section. So here you can see I have a link for 10 meters, which should be 25.11 megahertz, or meters rather, at 28.4 megahertz. Now you can see I've already made the banana plugs on the following antenna, or link rather, but this is left blank, just not, you know, I don't have the banana plug on there yet, so I can trim this down. These are all long, okay? So no banana plug, banana plug. I've got all the male banana plugs on here. So from 10 meters, then I have this length for 12 meters. And again, no banana plug here. The following length has the male on there. And then we have the 15 meter link, okay? And I'm just kind of looping the wire in through these S-beaners. I'm not actually going to be using these S-beaners. I have smaller ones, but they don't have holes in it, so I'm just using these temporarily. These are going to be swapped out. All of the links have, or will have, the ones that I have the male connectors on already have it, but a 5 centimeter fold back, okay? So the measurements that you're seeing on the screen right now is the total length of the wire that I cut, but there will always be a 5 centimeter fold back, okay? So when we trim. And then we go down, where are we, 10, 12, 15, then here's the 17 meter link here. And then we go down, this adds 20 meters from there to there. And then we can zoom out, and that's the 30 meter link. And then all the way down here at the end is 40 meters. And then I have this just staked in the ground really low right now just to show you. But I've got about 20 feet or so of this paracord here that'll be staked in the ground. You want to have a lot of wire, a lot of paracord, because you want to have, I'm going for like a pretty open angle in this. I don't want to have like a 45-degree angle, something, you know, the wider the angle, the better for me. So that's what I've come up with. So let's get to tuning this antenna. And obviously I had to do all of that twice because this is a dipole. So all of those measurements are for one leg of the dipole, so you got to do everything twice. So now I've got the mast fully erected, and we're going to take our first reading on 10 meters. We're going to start with the highest frequency, tune those, and then work down. And without trimming anything yet, that's what we're looking at for quote-unquote 10 meters. So we're quite a bit long. Need to do some trimming on both sides of the dipole, and then we need to solder on the banana plug once we get it tuned, and crimp on a ferrule. So let's do that. Now be prepared for a whole lot of up and down. You got to put it up, take an SWR reading, bring it down, trim it, put it back up, take an SWR reading, then put on the components once it's good, and rinse and repeat. So right now on 10 meters, we're resonant at 27.180. So this is the first section here. I'm going to cut off a couple inches on each leg, so that's one leg, and then I'm going to cut the same amount from the other leg, just like that. So we got two of the exact same length wire. And then we're going to raise our mast back up, and take another reading. And now we can see cutting 2 inches from both sides, so 4 inches total from the 10 meter, we've raised our resonant point about 600 kilohertz. So I'm gonna bring it down and trim it a little bit more. But actually, before I cut this anymore, I went ahead and just did my 5 centimeter fold back, and I put the ferrule around it. I didn't crimp it, and then I hooked it back up to the carabiner. So I'm gonna put this back up and take a reading there. That probably, hopefully should get it pretty darn close to where I'm aiming for. I'm aiming, if I can have 28 to 28.5, under 1.5 to 1, I'll be a happy camper with this. And there you can see, just by folding those back, I didn't do any more cutting. I folded them back 5 more centimeters. We're very, very close to where I'm aiming for. I want to move this dip a little bit higher, so I think I'm going to cut about 1 centimeter more off of each leg, and then we'll see where we're at. Now, because I didn't crimp this, I can still adjust this. So I'm going to take it off, and I'm going to pull about 1 centimeter through, and then I'm going to take up the slack there. And we'll cut, I'm just guesstimating here, about 1 centimeter there. So we still have our 5 centimeter fold back. Just took one tiny little guy off of that, and I'm gonna do it to the other side as well. And don't just throw these on the ground. Put them in your pocket, or I'm putting them on a picnic table. Don't litter in your parks. And now look at that, just cutting that 1 extra centimeter off per leg got me pretty much darn near where I'm aiming for 28.3. It's resonant at 28.290. But that's close enough. But we're getting really good bandwidth, so let's go to the bottom of the band here. I really just want to make sure I can do FT8 as well as get on phone. So 28.7, we're 1.15. And we can go way the heck up. Oh, let's try there. Still really, really good SWR. We're really good bandwidth here, even up close towards the FM portion there. Just really, really good SWR. So that is fantastic. So now that our 10 meter element is perfect, I'm going to take it off of this S-beaner. I'm gonna use my ferrule crimping tool. Again, links for all of this stuff is in the description. A lot of this stuff is on my Amazon store. I'm gonna go ahead and crimp that ferrule, just like that, okay? And then I'm gonna take my wire strippers, and I'm gonna strip off just the tiniest bit of jacket around there, okay? Then I'm gonna take my female banana plug, and I didn't plan too well. I didn't bring my helping hands. I just got this little silicone guy, but hopefully this will work. Isn't this neat? This is a little 3D printed one of these things I found on Thingiverse. I shrunk it down to scale a little bit. So I have a nice little solder cleaning pad for my pine sil soldering iron. I'm just gonna tin this a little bit and start soldering, hopefully. Except not. Ow. Come here! Well, technically that worked. It's almost good. Ow. Welcome to How to Do Things Wrong with K8MRD. I just want a little more solder in there. All right, and with lots of struggling and the magic of editing, I have the first one done, and it is disgusting, but it's electrically sound. And now, instead of this big S-beaner, I'm gonna use these little guys. You can see how much smaller they are. I wish I could give you a link to these things. I can't find them on Amazon anymore, but they're about 1 inch long, where these are 1.6 inches. All the S-beaners on Amazon, you'll see 1 million of the like 1.6 inch. Really hard to find these like 1 inch ones, but try hard enough and maybe they'll be there eventually. So we're gonna use these tiny guys for our actual links. And they're gonna look just like that. And I can crimp the other wire now. This is going to the 12 meter element. All right, I clip that on, and now we have one completed link, just like that. Now let's do it for the other leg. So again, same process, remove the 10 meter leg from the S-beaner. Go ahead and crimp the ferrule. Strip just the tiniest amount of wire there. That's probably too much, but that's okay. And solder away. Not having helping hands was a bad idea. Then we can add our small S-beaner. Get rid of the big one. Connect the links. And the 10 meter section is done. So now that my 10 meter element is done, I'm gonna do that exact same process over and over and over again for 12, 15, 17, 20, 30, and finally I'll trim 40 meters. And every single time, with the exception of the end of the 40 meter element, we're gonna do exactly what we just did, crimp the ferrules, trim the wire, solder on the banana plugs, put the heat shrink on it, and move on to the next one. So a lot of repetition, a lot of up and down, just putting it up, analyzing it, taking it down, trimming it, putting it back up, analyzing it, taking it down, trimming it, so on and so forth. So I'm not gonna film all of that. I think hopefully this should give you kind of the steps that I'm taking, and I'm gonna do this for all of the other bands, and I'll come back when we're done. But I think I'll do a cool little time lapse of how long this takes. Right now it is 2:09 p.m. I've been out here since about noon setting everything up and filming just this section here, so we'll see how much longer it takes. If I'm done by 5, I'll be a happy guy. I'll see you when I'm done. Okay, well, it's now 5 o'clock and I only have completed 10 meters and 12 meters. I have run into, well, let's just say issues. Dipoles are fun. Link dipoles are fun. So I've learned, one, it's easy to just take off the link that you're working on to add the loop. So for example, now I'm about to tune up 15 meters and I was using the S-beaners, the bigger ones that had the holes in it and snaking them through. I'm realizing I can just put the ferrule on here without crimping. Don't crimp anything until you're done, because you can adjust these while you're working, but even when this is up in the air, these wires are in these ferrules so tight, like they're not gonna come out. The other thing, and hopefully this will get easier as I go lower in frequency, for 10 and 12 meters, I had 10 perfect, as you saw in the last shot there, but when I stripped the wire and put the banana plugs on, that actually lengthened it, so I had to make a new whole setup here for 10 meters. I remade the links for 12 meters twice. So I'm learning as I go. But yeah, hopefully this process will go a little faster now that I have somewhat of an idea what I'm doing. So basically, here's the 15 meter element. I have to do this for the other element now, but I'm basically just gonna add this on and I'm just gonna keep shortening this while maintaining this 5 centimeter length. So I'll basically pull wire out, pull this through, make it 5 centimeters, and then when I'm ready to solder on the connector, you basically have to account for the length of the connector, at least on the higher frequencies so far, but I'm gonna guess as we progress, I'll still have to account for the length of the actual banana plug. So I'm trimming that off and then adding the banana plug as well, and then making this 5 centimeters still, so if that makes sense. So I have to add the length of the banana plug, but at the end of the day, that's still 5 centimeters. So that's my update at 5:05 p.m. And having to add the length of the banana plug is something new to me. I can't tell you how many linked end fed half waves. I invented it, so I should make a bunch of them. And I've never really had to add the length of the banana plug to the length of the wire. So dipoles, a lot more finicky and a lot more, I'm just tiny slices at a time because I want to make it perfect. Because if I'm not perfect on, 12 meters, it's gonna throw 15 meters off and 17 meters off and 20 meters, etc. So I'm really taking my time because I want this perfect. 12 meters is perfect right in the middle of the band. 10 meters, it moved up a little from what we were doing, but it's still totally usable for everything I want to use it for, and I'll show you everything when we're done. Okay, so it's the next day. I got everything through 20 done. We need to tune up 30 and 40 today, but just as a tease, that's what 20 looks like. Oh yeah, she's beautiful. So now that I think I have the process tweaked, let me show you how I've been doing this, so hopefully you can reproduce these results. So as I mentioned, it's a lot easier to just take the individual elements off. So I've got the mass drop down. This is the 30 meter element. So I'm just gonna take this guy off. And I'm gonna also take off this big carabiner, these big S-beaners. so I can replace it with a smaller one. And again, don't crimp anything, don't put heat shrink on anything. That was a big mistake. So I'm going to take off this big S-beaner. Put it back in its home. And then I'm going to measure 5 centimeters for my fold back, for my link. Okay. I'm going to fold that down, and I'm just going to pinch it as hard as I can. And I'm going to take one of these ferrules, and yes, the link in here is for 1,000 of these. You buy 1,000 of these, but it's like, I don't know, 11 or 12 bucks. And then you'll have ferrules for the rest of your life. So not a big deal. And then, because these are just the right size to fit 26 gauge wire in, you can just push the wire through like such. All right. And then I'm going to take one of these small S-beaners and put that in. And then I'm going to do this exact same thing with the other 30-meter element and all of the other ones previous to this. That's how I'm going to tune this. Let me show you. And I'm using 5 centimeters for the fold back because that's basically the length that I need to make the link. If you're going to use these bigger S-beaners, if you can't find these smaller ones, which are a pain in the butt to find consistently on Amazon, obviously your length will need to be longer. So now I'm doing the other 30-meter element. And I find this goes fairly quick now that I have adopted this philosophy, because now we actually have like the link we're working with and the 5 centimeters that we want. So it's been going a lot smoother after the 10 and 12 meter struggle. 10 and 12 meters took for fricking ever to figure all this stuff out. I have only made a link dipole for 40 and 20. Making one for every band has been a learning process, but boy, is it going to be worth it in the end. All right, so let me put these on and I'll show you how I tune it. And here's a look at 30 meters right now. We're resonant like right at 10 megahertz. We're close. I'm going to shift this up 125 kilohertz so we can get it right in the middle of the band. So let's do that. So here's the 30 meter link. You got to do really small incremental adjustments, I found, because if you cut this too short, guess what? You get to make new elements. I don't want to cut it too short. I would rather just slowly trim this down until it's perfect than have to make more elements. So I'm going to cut 2 centimeters off of this, which is actually going to be 4 centimeters total because we're going to cut 2 centimeters off the other side. And how did I come to 2 centimeters? I just picked a random number. There we are. So the 2 centimeters is off. But now I need to lengthen this link back to 5 centimeters. So I can pull wire through here because I haven't crimped it. Sometimes you might take the carabiner off and pull it through there. We don't need much of a loop because we're using small carabiners. And then from the tip of the loop down, we're going to measure 5 centimeters, which is too much. I just pulled out too much. And just take your time. The more careful you are, so there we are. From the tip of the loop to the end of the wire, 5 centimeters. Go ahead and reconnect that, and we'll do it for the other side. And there you can see, cutting off 2 centimeters on each side, raised the frequency by 25 kilohertz. Now, as we go lower in frequency, these smaller cuts really mean less, but I'm going to continue cutting in small increments until I get to 10.125. And after the second cut, I was feeling a little more ambitious, and I cut 3 centimeters per side, which raised it to 10.0. It's actually 0.055. So I'm just going to keep trimming slowly but surely until I get it right in the center there. Just cut another 3 centimeters off. We are right at the bottom of the band. It's actually resonant at like 10.09. So I'm going to do small increments now. I'm just going to cut 1 centimeter off each side and see where that gets me. I might need to take it down one more time and cut another centimeter off, but I'd rather take it down a bunch of times and do tiny little trimmings than overcut it and now the antenna would be too short. So just take your time and get it perfect. And after 2 more 1 centimeter cuts, that's where we're at, 10.12. I was shooting for 10.125, but that's close enough. Now let me show you how I account for the banana plug. So I've taken one of the 30-meter elements off. This is the side closest to 40 meters. And I'm going to take the female banana connector, and I'm literally just going to cut that length off. Just like that, okay? Then I'm going to remake this 5 centimeters. Now, interestingly, I'm only having to do this on the side where I'm putting the female on because I've put all the males on. So just that alone is going to account for the length of the banana plug. Now I'm going to remake my 5 centimeters, which is there. All right. Strip off a tiny amount of jacket. And on my way in today, I stopped by Harbor Freight, so now I have a new pair of helping hands, which should hopefully make my life a lot easier. Maybe. There we are. And we start heating. Beautiful. Ow. And then I'll do that exact same thing to the other element. Now 30 meters is officially done. We are perfectly resonant at 10.130. I will take that as a win. All right, I am finally done tuning this antenna, and the last step is to crimp all of these ferrules. You probably could do this, and maybe I should have, after you get each band finished, maybe crimp the ferrule as you go, but I didn't do that, so I'm gonna have to do them all now. And when I am done, I will show you what every band looks like. Be right back. All right, it's time. Let's check our results. That is 10 meters, right where I want it. And there is 12 meters. There's what 15 meters turned out to be. Apparently I didn't do so hot, but still totally usable. There's a look at 17 meters, looking pretty sharp there. And here's a look at 20 meters. Somehow it got longer. Now here's a look at 30. That went a little long too, because we trimmed that on camera. So I'm not sure what's going on. And here's a look at 40 meters, which was resonant at 7.165. That lowered too. So interesting, but still usable. Hoorah! Well, after 13 hours, 12 minutes, I am finally done with this antenna. So what did we learn? We learned that making a linked dipole for all the bands is a huge pain in the ass. But is it worth it? Time will tell, but I think so, yes. The great thing about a dipole, they just work. They're just resonant. There's no transformer or nothing, so all your power goes out the antenna, which is great. Is it as convenient and fast as, say, like my linked end-fed half waves? No. But I would suspect it will probably be slightly more efficient because there's no loss of power in the transformation from like 2,500 ohms down to 50 ohms. It's just, 50 ohms. So I'm happy. I'm very happy. Took way longer than I thought. I've got a blister on my finger from erecting that big, hard, stiff black mast about 800 times. And the interesting thing, when I tuned the bands, each band was absolutely perfect, like right in the middle of the band, like what we saw on 30 meters. For some reason, once I crimped them and checked everything again, 10 and 12 were good. 15 and 17 were a little off. 20 meters looked longer. 30 meters looked longer. 40 meters. So why did this antenna all of a sudden get longer? And like 15 meters, there was a good dip. And now it looks, I think it looked short, a little short on 15 and not quite as low SWR. So I don't know what changed. Wait, I know what the problem was. When I took this mast down, this section had collapsed. And when I was putting it up, I thought I heard something collapse, but I thought it was one of the elements lower because they tend to come up with one another. But this section there was like 2 sections down, so the mast wasn't as high as it was above ground where I tuned it. So height above ground matters. I'm not about to set it up, but I'm confident that's what it was, because I looked at the mast and it was like straight up. It didn't have that lean from the tension of the guy wires. So I went over there and I tightened it more, and that's the readings we got. So probably 10 and 12, the mast wasn't collapsed, and then all the other bands, the mast was shortened by 2 sections. That's why. So I bet you I got a perfect antenna. I have never built a linked end-fed half-wave like this. Like, I've made a 40-20, I think, and that was it. So I have exponentially more experience making linked end-fed half-waves than I do linked dipoles. This took forever, way, way longer than a linked end-fed, because you have to do everything twice. So where with a linked end-fed, you just trim the wire and you're done. Where this, you got to put it up, take it down, put it up, take it down. Cute girl jogging right there. I'm going to stare at her for a minute. So a lot more work, but in the end, I am very happy with it. And it's all because of this REZ antenna Scout that made me do this. I have wanted to build a linked end-fed half-wave, or excuse me, a linked dipole for years, but I just knew it was going to take so much time. But you know what? Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So I cannot wait to get this thing on the air. So probably the next video, or a couple more videos after this, I'll get this thing on the air, because I am excited to use it. So that's all we got today. Hopefully you learned something. Links for everything will be in the description of this video. So my name is Mike, K8MRD. Thanks again for watching Ham Radio Tube. We'll see you next time. 73.